listener. Let's start. So today's session, and I have been talking about a lot about data, right? So the first topic that I would like to cover about is data. What is data, right? So let's try to understand the five W's of the data, right? What, when, where, who, one, two, three, and four, and why. So what is data? Anyone would like to take a stab at the question? Anyone from the group?
So, as per my understanding, sir, data is set of records about a person or a transaction that is happening, or a kind of instances that is being recorded,
Mm,
and the collection of that is called data.
okay, perfect. Anyone else? So a very high level definition that was given in the terms of computer science is anything that is raw, which demonstrates facts and figures. Raw facts and figures, this is what is called data. So it can be transaction. When it comes to financial institution, it can be transactional data. When it comes to marketing, it can be sales data. When it comes to person, it can be HR data. When it comes to instances of errors and like application being failing, it can be logs data. When it comes to a group of people working on a group of collaborative projects, it can be collaborative or collection data that we can think of. So anything that is raw facts and figures, this is data. Everyone with me so far? Anyone has any questions on this? Right. When does the data occur? So when is the data being occurring, right? So data occurs every instance, every step of the way, right? So there is no point in time that you can say, okay, this is the time when the data would happen. Data happens at every step of the way in our day-to-day life. Right. We would not say that, okay, right now it's not, this is not data. Whatever we are talking, whatever we are communicating, everything that is getting recorded, this is a data in itself, right? Whatever I'm writing in this scratch pad over here in the Excel, this is a data in itself. So when is the data happening? As and when the data is happening and people are capturing it, the mechanism of capturing that data point, the mechanism of holding that data somewhere, that is where the data that is when the data is happening. So it's now. If you're asking me, it's now, right? Where is the data happening? It's happening over the internet. It's happening in our PCs, local PCs. It's happening over the network. It's happening in our daily household. uh, Wherever you find yourself finding some form of numbers, calculations, storage of information, that is where data is happening. Okay. Who is providing this information? Us, me, you, everyone who is on the call, everyone who is not on the call, everyone on the globe. Animals are animals are providing their own form of data. Electricity is providing their own form, living, non-living, anything that is storing any raw fact and figure, that is the person who is providing the data. Why is the necessity or why is the need of data? Any volunteers for this question? What is the need? Everyone understands what is the need of data. So
Sir, I think we need data to understand and basically make a clear distinction what happened, why happened, and is it relevant to our life, basically to analyze and see if we can make something or infer something predict something for the future, which can be beneficial for the person or organization.
Generate insights. Very rightly put, Jitin. So generate insights within the data. That is why we need the data. Why? In a
And
daily, I just said daily
one more
ops.
thing,
Yes,
we can
please.
use we can use the data to make the decisions. So we, if you have the historical data, we can make
Make
the decision
decisions.
for any further
Make decisions.
things.
Yes. Make decisions. We need the data to make decisions. I just said household is also where we are generating the data, right? So I have a set amount, let's say X amount of money getting generated as part of my revenue, right? And within that revenue, I have some expenses. So if I'm noting it down, like my EMIs, expenses, okay. So like my EMIs, like I have my LIC insurance, or I have my SIPs, or my the daily consumables we purchase, or the lifestyles that we procure for ourselves and our kids, right? So these are the things that would be one of the key factors where if we are not storing this information anywhere, we'll never come to know, or we'll not be accountable for the information that is required to make our life easier. So every step of the way, we need the data to gain insights on our daily expenses. We need the data to gain insights on our business expenses, the business model, what it is working on. If I'm explaining something, if I'm trying to teach you something, if I don't have the appropriate data sets, if I don't have the information to back my statements, then that would be a failed decision, or that would be a failed insight given to the management, or to the individual whom we are working for. So that's the necessity of the data. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Perfect. So now comes the part that, okay, now we understand our data, now we understand the need of data. What are the things that we need? We need a place to store the data, right? Storage. We need to understand the types of data, right? uh, Storage is one thing. We need to understand the types of data. We need to understand the categories of data, or you can say categories and types are one and the same thing, so I'll just categorize it over here. Categories of data, right? And I also need to understand one crucial aspect: what is the mechanism to capture the data, right? Anything else that we can think of from a data aspect? What exactly is required? So we need storage. We need to understand the categories and the types. We need to understand the mechanism to capture the data. Anything else that we can think of?
We need tools to visualize the data.
Tools to visualize the data. Okay, good point. Anything else?
Tools for ETL.
ETL, that would be a concept that we'll be dealing at a later stint. But yeah, uh, visualization. ETL is a concept that is extract, transform, load, which we'll be discussing in detail, in great depth, in the different modules that we have. So yes, anything that we can think from an administrative aspect. What are the requirements to hold the information? Like we just discussed, what is the importance of data? What are the things that would be required to in like put these into one place? The administrative aspects of it. So we have categorization, we have storage, we have mechanisms of capturing the data. Anything else that we can think of?
Uh, yes, sir. Databases will need cars where we can park the data. So there will be a lot of categories in the databases.
That
Uh,
would be
and
That would be part of storage.
Yes.
That would be part of storage. Right. So let's understand this concept. Why am I focusing on these basic concepts? I want this to be like, we need to understand these concepts because these are the very basic concepts, and once we are out of this session, no one is going to explain these to us, right? So people who are like, when you are learning different technologies, they would already be aware that you already understand these concepts, right? So storage is where we are storing. So let's say, for example, I have a container over here, and this is pretty much basic thing. Let me just do this. So this is kind of a container. I'll just put it like a simple color. And this container, I have provided that, okay, in this container I need to store information that is only pertaining to dairy products, right? So this container would be only containing information about all the dairy products. So can I say this information, the yellow container that I have, this is a storage to hold information only for dairy products? Can I say this? Yes, no? So I have created a container and I am only going to hold dairy products in this, right? So information where I am only storing one type of information, that is called a storage space specific to that particular product, right? Similarly, as someone mentioned in the group, that databases is one of the aspects. So databases is one of the places where we keep the information. So we have within databases, we keep the information specific to multiple products, right? So it can be a multiple product storage information, right? Other than databases, can we say that files are one way of capturing the data sets? Like we can
Yes.
have CSV files, we can have Excel files,
Excel.
we can have PDF files, we can have Word files, DOC files, right? So files is one of the mechanism to store these information, right? So storage we are covering through different databases. This can be MS Access. Now we are talking application here. I don't want to deviate from the concept and go into applications. In file, we are talking about different formats of files. We can have even image files. We can have even audio files. We can have video files. Any file that is storing information, that storage is called in itself, that this particular place, this container is storing that information. So this container is my storage for that form of data only. Like if this container, as in this container, I'm saying this is an information only for dairy products. It can be milk, it can be cheese, it can be butter, it can be saturated fats such as ghee and other things, right? Saturated fats, ghee. Right. So these things that are there, that we can call it out very quickly, that okay, this is what is my information. So anything that is pertaining to dairy products, that would go directly in here. I don't have to store it anywhere else. So a thing that I have identified and it has to go at some place, that is called storage for that particular category or that particular data. Clear? Categories of types of data. So we have different types of data. Like, so types, as in when I say I have text, text, I have date slash time, I'll keep it in one category. I have numbers. Now this contains both integers and both decimal values, right? Real numbers and complex numbers, everything would come under this category. Complex numbers as well. Hope you guys are familiar with these concepts. If not, let me know. I'll explain. I can have currencies would also go in here. I'm not keeping a different category for here, right? Currencies, sorry. Okay. Now I would have Boolean, which would be a yes or a no condition, always, or true or false condition, right? What else can we think of? So text can be strings or lines of text or multiple lines of text. Everything can come under text. Date and time, number, boolean,
Sir, geography.
geography, right? Geolocations. So that is your latitude and longitude information. Google Maps is one such example of this kind of data storage. Maps, Google slash Apple. Apple has its own map, I guess. Just putting it here. Right. Anything else that I'm missing out, guys? Any other form of data that we can think of?
Sir, audios and images are also a kind of data.
Yes, images, audios, videos, right? We would not be covering this particular section within this particular course. It would be something that would be dealt in the different course contents that you'll be enrolling for. Like this is drastically being dealt in very high level programming languages such as Python, right? So Python, Alteryx, this is where we get into these kind of things where we are doing structured versus unstructured data analytics. That is something different, but for the time being we will be covering only these couple of informations that I'm highlighting in green, because this would be something that we can easily deal with the tools and technologies that is coming in the purview of the scoping that we have discussed, right? Geolocations also, this would come as part of the visualization activities and uh, visualization applications. So we are not going to cover these as part of this particular course material, but definitely yes, this is something that we can there are tools and technologies that can leverage us to go through these topics, right? So types, when we are saying that these are the types of the data type, like these are the types of data that we have. So in short, a very wise man, like I'll not say, I don't know his name, whosoever discovered data, when he understood these kind of types, so he said, I'm not going to name it differently, I'm just going to call them data types. So what is the type, if I have to say what is the type of this data, can I say this can be only text data?
Yes, sir.
Text data which can only contain what? Dairy products, right? So let's take a step back. So we've dealt with the storage, that okay, our data would be stored in multiple formats. Either it can be a file based format or it can be application based format, it can go there. We have discussed about the types and the categories, types of the data point, right? If I have to categorize these data, what is the things that I discuss, what is the things that I can think of? Number and date time, can I say these can be continuous? Continuous as in always incrementing or decrementing based on the ask of it. We understand what is incrementing, decrementing, right? Incrementing is when it is going up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and decrementing is like when it is going down. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, like that, right? So my numbers would always be incrementing. Either it is an incremental fact that okay, my weather is always like, sorry, not weather, my salary is on the higher side, or and always increasing continuously, my revenue is increasing all the time, or my data is in, like today it was only 500 kb, when I saved this file it became a 50 MB file, right? So it's on the incremental side. So when there is a number, it can be said that this is continuous. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
And dates also, date and time also can be considered incrementing. Like we have a date which can go like we have today as 21st, then tomorrow it would be again 22nd, then third and fourth and fifth, right? Like that, it's a continuous. So either date would be increasing, time would be increasing, or if we are doing a reverse analysis, we can say that okay, uh, this is going in the backward direction, so it is decreasing. So this can be also considered in the continuous category, right?
Right, sir.
Can I say these text can be categorical? These have categories. Like it can be either a group of text that I'm bucketing into, like group of text. Like I've just called out all these products, milk, cheese, butter, saturated fats, ghee, into categories of dairy products. Similarly, I would have categories of what we can say, categories of wines, right? Wines is a very good example. Categories of wine or drinks, right? Categories of drinks. I can not say wine, but I can say drinks. So when I say drinks, I can be talking about drinks. I can talk about water. I can talk about milk. I can talk about uh, wine. I can talk about cold drinks, right? I can talk about like tea, coffee, etc. All these would come into this category, right? So when I'm saying categories of drinks, then I can say that okay, this is something that I have classified my data. All the drinks would fall into this bucket. All the dairy products would fall into this bucket. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so categorical, it would be categories, right? So we can classify, let's say we are humans, we can classify gender into two categories: male, female. There is one called transgender. Some people have other definitions of it, so they don't classify, they just say others, right? So this can be like categories of genders, right? Similarly, we can have categories of different kinds of like we can say categories of, so a group of cities would be called a state, right? So states would be one category where we have a hierarchy of cities. So all these can be classified as categories, all these texts can be classified as categories. Now some people can say that okay, I have a group of people wherein I am storing names, where I'm storing ages, not names, age, right? So let's say 4, 5, 15, 18. So age, would it be categorical or continuous? Now this is a question, right? We don't know what kind of data it is. Or let's say someone in the data is storing male as 1, female as 0, and rest everything as let's say 2, something like that, right? So is this categorical or continuous?
It's categorical, sir.
Categorical. Why? As we
Uh,
just discussed
because,
that incremental and decremental is continuous, right? So 0 is and 1 is incrementing. Why is categorical?
sir, because I cannot, calculate something and, put the calculation on these
Using any
numbers.
mathematical function on these won't result in any significant any value. These are just defining one is male and zero is female.
Definitely. So for continuous, this is the classification, guys. If it is not being used to generate any form of calculation, any form of insight, it is not providing, it is just classifying things, then it is a categorical. If it is doing any form of KPI metrics, it is building on to like it is used in calculations, then it would become a part of continuous. Okay, so we have covered all these things, right? Anyone has any questions? I see only couple of people interacting. Let's make this an interactive session. Any questions, anyone else?
Sir, one question.
Mhm.
Can we also put geolocations as category?
Yes, can do that. Because this is again, this would be used to visualize only. We are to see which area or which city or state is flourishing in terms of like sales increment or product generation, which is consuming maximum product or which is consuming least product. In that kind of analysis, this would also be a categorical category.
Okay, sir.
in
Thank
in many of the cases, date and time can also be considered as category, because date and time would also be, in some of the cases, would be leveraged to visualize metrics based on month, quarter, and year. So month, quarter, and year would become the category at that point in time. So we cannot continuously say that okay, date and time is also continuous and increment and decrementing only. This can also be considered as a categorical value. In most of the storage spaces, you will see date and time stored as text, because they deal with date and, because exporting and importing becomes different when it comes to date and time. And we will be covering these topics when we'll be discussing in detail. Let's not discuss, like, let's not confuse ourselves with that. But from a very high level aspect, I'll just do a quick recap. We've covered data, we've covered the storage of data, we've covered the categories and types of data. Any questions so far? Then we can move on to the next topic, which is mechanism to capture the data.
No, sir.
Perfect. Anyone else other than the few who are speaking? Open for everyone. We'll move on to the next part. Mechanisms of capturing the data. Okay. Now, this is the most interesting piece, right? Let's take vote. What all we know about it, right? So what all mechanisms we know about?
Sir, forms,
Forms.
websites,
Forms can be
application,
offline and online,
online. Yeah, both, sir.
right?
Websites
Websites,
and applications
applications. Okay.
and databases, logs, and
Databases and logs would be the, like, place where you're storing. We discussed that databases are storage places. They are not the mechanism to capture it.
right,
Mechanisms to
sir.
capture, right? So forms, offline and online, right? So how many of us have gone into the mall and seen people, the real estate people saying, "Hey, if you want to buy a product, can you go and visit this?" They would be having some form of brochure, and when you will be departing, they will be asking you to quickly submit your name and details either in a register or uh, in a leaflet kind of an infrastructure, and ask you to fill in your information so that they can contact you at a later date. So that kind of mechanism is there to capture the data forms. So either it can be offline or it can be online. Let me just quickly bring this up on the screen and share this. So I am very fond of one of the sites. So let me just see if I can locate policy, not policy bazaar. Let me see bankbazaar.com. Right. So this is one site. If you just go and say that, okay, I want to apply for a home loan, they would ask you these kind of information. Now you see here, this is a very intuitive way to do the data capture. So this first question, it is asking me about my type of employment, right? It has given me so much information over here. So let's say independent worker, student, retired, homemaker, self-employed professional. So this is all the form information they are looking for. This can be offline. The same can be printed in a paper and then can be requested in the leaflet that I was talking about. Or this is the when I'll select one of these options. So let's say I'm saying salaried, any hypothetical number, let's say greater than 120K. Continue. Okay. Now they're asking me about my PIN code. I'll just fill in hypothetically any number. Maybe any number would not work. I'll just fill in this information. I'll say okay, and then they are saying what is the purpose. I'm giving them my instruction that I need to purchase it. Next, they are now asking me about my personal information, how the associate can reach to me, or what if my loan application is approved, what would be the mode of communication. So this is again now requesting my personal information as in mobile number. I'll just give some random number and then I'll say submit, and they will try to reach out to me. So this is one intuitive way to capture data. So forms offline and online, right? Websites we just checked. This was one of the websites. Then now there are multiple websites. I just showed you one. There are websites on travel. There are websites on there are websites on like IRCTC is one such website wherein you fill in your information, you put in your credentials, you put in your travel details, and everything gets captured and your ticket is generated. Now that ticket is an outcome of the form that you have filled. If that form is not properly filled in the website, the ticket would be inappropriately generated, your money would be lost, your travel plans would be cancelled. So that is one thing. Applications can be both. So websites are actually one form of application only. So everything falls under the bucket or umbrella of applications. So let me just say applications here, right? And take these two out and just do a quick indentation of this so it's clear. So these are all captured via applications. So in a line of software environment where we are dealing with everything in a virtual or digital environment, everything is captured through applications, not the offline piece. Offline is captured manually, right? So let me just put it separately here in the bucket. Anything that is online is covered through websites, right? So let's take this here. And then I have information that I can cover through desktop applications. So whatever you just saw on the browser window, all these can be built via the desktop applications as well, right? So this Excel that you see is an example of desktop application. We'll be covering this as well. But in the interim, let's understand that desktop applications and online web applications can help us capture the form. One more information is mobile applications these days. Even they can help us capture the data set, right? Anyone has any questions on the mechanism to capture? Every information that I've just put in here, this is the type of data that the users are looking for. Like even if I send show notifications, this would be stored somewhere in my memory and it would be prompting me that, okay, now you are eligible for this kind of investment or you are eligible for that kind of investment. That is a mechanism of capturing the data, right? Now, these are the concepts that we'll be covering at the very end of these sessions. Some of the concepts that we'll be discussing when we have actually understood the types of data and we have actually understood the application interfaces. Uh, any questions so far? Anything that we would like to highlight? Am I going too fast? Any feedback for me? Let me know, guys.
You are going at a great speed, Darwin. It is
Thank
easy to
you.
understand and not too slow and not too fast.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the feedback. Okay. So here's what we're going to do next. I have a timer in place, right? I think now I would be switching. So the next piece over here would be switching to the application mode, right? Seeing some data insights, like what exactly a data look like, what are the files, how are the files stored, all these things we'll be covering.